Man, do you hear that? Look at here. They're coming. They're coming. We're going to have a party. I'm talking good on barbecue. All right, guys, welcome back to the Old Boy Podcast. Got a great episode for you this week. I have Charlie Siracusa with me, Chief Growth Officer for Trollco. How are you, my man?
I'm doing well. How about you?
Man, doing great. So
Excellent.
We're actually out here all together. There's about another 12 Trollco people to the left that you can't see. But we're out here hanging out in Arizona. We've got a couple of awesome days lined up ahead of us. And we wanted to get some badass podcast in. And
Absolutely.
When the opportunity came up to sit down with you, man, I couldn't be more excited.
Me too.
You know, guy that we'll have on the podcast here, a guy named Denny Bruce. I know you know Denny.
I do.
Denny's been, so important in my career, and I've just enjoyed getting to know the guy. And
sure,
I brought up your name, and Denny's like, man, I know him. He's like, that's a guy you need to spend some time with and get to know better. And I know Justin and Jason, feel the same way. And if you guys are listening to the podcast, you've already heard me talk to them and how Trollco came up and all that, and what an amazing story that is. So, Charlie, before we delve into your background, how did you meet these two knuckleheads, man?
Yeah, it was one of those blessed events, Chad. So I had just finished doing 11 months at TYR Sport, the swim company that sponsors all of the Olympic athletes. And I finished my run there middle of November of 21 and wasn't planning on doing anything, going to play a little bit of tennis, going to continue to train every day. And I get a call from a guy, Chad, I did a favor for 25 years ago. His name was John Oler. And he's now the executive vice president of Dunham Sports out of Michigan, Chad, 256 doors.
Okay.
But when he was a buyer, he came to Steve Carter and I, my good friend Steve, God rest his soul, and we'll talk about him in a little while. He said, look, I need to carry Carhartt. Can you guys just come have lunch with me and let me pitch my plea to have your product in our stores? I said, okay, let's go have lunch. And he said, look, I need your product. I said, well, we need our product in your stores, but your stores look terrible. And the customer experience is going to suck. So it's not going to work.
Sometimes you just got to rip the Band-Aid off, huh, Charlie?
You know what, Chad? You got to bring dynamic tension right to the ceiling.
Sure.
And then you get to the root of the issue. And the issue was that they didn't understand that the consumer experience had to mimic what our brand was about.
Right. Carhartt has set a bar.
That's right.
And at that point, if your retail establishment wasn't up to that bar,
not going to do it.
Exactly.
But we didn't want to be assholes about it.
Sure.
Right? So what we wanted to do is put the pebbles in the stream and say, here's what we can do. If you give us 25 shops of then they had about 150 doors, we'll shop up 100 square feet. We'll test it out. We'll prove the concept to you, and then we can go from there.
And then you got to do that chain wide.
Then you got to roll it out.
Yep.
So
kind of a little store-in-store concept.
That's right.
Yeah.
Shop and shop. So John never forgot it because now Carhartt is a $26 million account. He's now the second in command at Dunham's. And I get a call from John and he says, hey, Charlie, it's John. How are you? I said, doing great, John. How about you? He says, look, I know you're a free agent. I know you want to get to the tennis court, but I think you need to talk to these two guys. I said, who are these guys? He said, look, just talk to them, will you? I said, of course. So I give them my number, and humbly, a lot of people say they're going to call me.
Yeah.
And they don't call me, right? So I was hoping they were going to call because I was very intrigued by what John had said. And about, a couple of weeks later, I get a call. I get a text. Hey, Charlie, you available to talk to Justin? I said, sure. So I'm in my kitchen table chat in Northville, Michigan. I got my laptop out. I'm on a team call. And we start to talk a little bit, and I'm blown away. Because like you know when you know. You know when it's authentic and There's no bullshit. And you can tap right into the heart. How quick? That quick. Like that quick. Instantly. So we're starting to chat. And my wife is at the kitchen sink. Married 45 years, high school sweetheart. She says, babe, you got to put it on mute. I said, I'm on the phone. What do you mean mute? No. Put it on mute. Okay. So I put it on mute. She says, they sound like very nice boys and you should go to work for them.
So now you're on the shit list and you don't go to work for these guys.
Well, now I got to figure out how I'm going to make up saying, what's the deal? And now I got to go to work for these guys, which was the best thing I could have done. So that's how I was introduced to Jason and Justin, but it wasn't just Jason and Justin. It was their story, Chad.
Yes.
Because I've been around authentic and I've been around fake. And sadly, it's more fake than real.
Yeah.
So you know when you know. And I said that before, but I'll say it a couple more times because it is so real. And from that moment on, I knew that I had to recalibrate what I was going to do. And if Jason and Justin were kind enough to embrace my intensity, but also my soulful approach to life and business, this could be something magical.
I love it.
And that's how it started. Amazing. That's how it started.
But think about that too. You've got two guys that are relatively new into business.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But they've got this story, they've got this passion, they've built this following.
100%.
But then bringing a guy like yourself that has seen it, done it, built it.
Yeah.
I mean, you couldn't ask for a more beautiful marriage.
No, there's no question about it. We had to work through a few things, and Justin was concerned, okay, we're going to hire a Lamborghini, but we got to have the rocket fuel. Mm-hmm. And what I wanted to impress upon Jason and Justin, again, humbly, Chad, right? You're just not going to get me. You're going to get my network. Mm-hmm. And my network are people that I love. I have a network of people that I don't love, but I have a network of people that I love who I knew would be a perfect fit for Jason and Justin.
As you guys can tell, in the first 5 minutes of talking to Charlie, this is the same exact experience I had when I had a Zoom call with Charlie, Justin, Jason, Teddy, all the guys that you kind of brought in, to be part of it. And, it's just something that I was inspired. Like, I remember texting Jason and Justin both, I think, in the middle of the call, and I was like, I got to get this guy on the podcast. Like, this is going to be awesome. So the fact that we're doing it, man,
me too.
I love it. And we talked about how you've gotten here, and we'll talk about a little bit more Trollco here in a second, but let's get back to your beginnings.
Sure. Yeah.
So, born and raised.
Yeah.
What kind of family? Like let's talk a little bit about the household that made Charlie.
Yeah. You know what? Blessed. So, born in Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
My father was a chiropractor in 1952. So way ahead of his time.
Yeah, about to say chiropractor before chiropractor was cool.
And think about the family. So this first generation Sicilian, you have a chiropractor, you have a surgeon, you have a pharmacist, you have a sister who's a ballroom dancer, and you have a brother who's a cement mason. So imagine those Sunday dinners at my grandmother's. It would be all good through appetizers. And then the wine would start flowing, and Clee would say, we need to give them antibiotics. And my father would say, well, how about we manipulate their spine and give them a little carrot juice? So that would start the whole Sunday off. And we would go, Chad, for hours at the table, and it was rip-roaring all the time. But my father was a chiropractor before his time. I was born in Chicago. My mother, my beautiful mother, was a pilot during World War II.
Are you shitting?
No, true story. And I didn't find out she was a pilot because she never told anybody till her wake. Now, I'll tell you the story. So she was so in love with my father. No, Chad, lovebirds, like lovebirds. And I'll tell you a story in a minute. And she wanted to be close to him while he was in the war. And she said, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to find a way to help. So she flew supplies from Staten Island to Floyd Bennett Field over the Narrows, all during World War II.
Oh my
God! A pilot. Before that, she was a Breck shampoo model. It was a whole thing.
Wait! Yeah. Breck shampoo model.
Oh yeah.
To World War II pilot.
You got it. Yeah, that was my mother. Yep, big time.
That's a special woman, old boy.
No, oh yeah. So now
that's an old girl right there.
You're telling me.
That's the definition of old girl.
You're telling me. So imagine my household full of this absolute love for life, but love for one another.
Yes.
So being in that environment.
But her whole purpose behind doing it, she wanted to be close to your dad.
No question about it.
Like that.
Huge.
That's just amazing.
Huge. But it's at her wake. My sister Janice, who's one of the living angels, I see a guy walk in an ill-fitting army uniform. I said to my sister, Jan, who's this guy? I don't know. Stands up to the coffin, pays his respects. So sorry to hear about your mother. I said, I'm so sorry. He says, I'm John McCarthy. I flew with your mother. Wait a minute. Flew with my mother. She never told you, did she? And I said, no. your mother flew supplies all during World War II. And my sister and I never knew it. So she was humble in her life. It was special for John and Anna Mae. And at the end of her life, it came back to Janice and I at one of the most special moments you can imagine. And again, I'll say this a lot of times, just like being blessed to find Jason and Justin and having Ted here, having Darren here, having Adrian here, having Mike Pardini here, having Jamie here, having Trisha here. You can't make it up. And there's no coincidences, babe. Zero. There's no coincidences. These are divine interventions that were made to happen that you can never predict, ever predict. So, so raised in a great family, lots of love and laughter and loud talking. And whenever my father was in trouble with my mother, he would turn on Sinatra and he would grab her by the arms and he would dance with her. And Chad, no, she would resist like Johnny, I'm not falling for that again. And it would be like, it would be like this very romantic song, which I can't think of now and I want to. Is it an earthquake or simply a shark? So Chad, they would do this and then she would melt into my father's arms and it would be perfect. So now I'm 10.
Okay.
I have just broken Mrs. Fogarty's window. So I come home and she's, did you break Mrs. Fogarty's window? I said, Mom, I can never lie. I did. So what do? Mom. So I put on Sinatra and I go dance. And she looks at me. She looks at my father and says, what have you done with this boy? He's
Gosh.
Oh yeah. So that's a little peek under the covers at the kind of family I was raised in, which was there wasn't anything that we couldn't try. There wasn't anything that we really ever failed at because we constantly kept trying. So now I'll fast forward. I'm 18 years old.
Oh, no, damn. These stories have been pretty good, man.
So I'm 18 years old, and my father says, where you going tonight? It's a Friday night. I'm going to go out with the guys. Who? Richie Minatello, Richie Picataggio, Kevin O'Brien, Tommy McGough, the team.
Oh, you even worked an Irish guy in there. O'Brien. All right.
We mixed them in. And they said, what time are you coming home? I said, my curfew is 12 o'clock. So Chatty goes like this. He says, look, here's a 50. I want you to stay out till about 3 because I need to be with your mother tonight. Now, when you come in with those big feet, don't make any noise. Come in very quietly. So now.
I need you to be a silent assassin.
Oh, yeah. Don't disrupt me. I need to be with your mother. And as I've mentioned, their passion.
You're like, Dad, is this the bird that being talk right now?
Well, he had that much before, and I'll tell you when. So that was the it just was a beautiful moment. So now Sunday morning I wake up to the smell, which was a Sunday smell all the time. The garlic's in the oil, the sausages are in the pan, the meatballs have just been made.
The gravy's going.
Oh. She's got the fresh focaccia rolls in the oven. She's got her.
Yeah, you're messing with a fat boy right now.
Oh, I know.
All right.
So, and they're hearing me out and they're loving that I'm saying it. And she would be in her house dress. Her hair would always be never a messy bun, always a bun with the perfect clip.
Powered by Breck.
For sure. Yep. So she knew about hair. And she'd be at, Mom, how are you? I'm good, honey. How are you? I said, good. Everything okay? Oh, everything's wonderful. Would you like a meatball? I said, sure. So she gives a meatball on focaccia bread. And I said, where's Pop? He's downstairs watering the tomatoes. So I go downstairs. My father's outside in a white athletic T-shirt. He's got his pants on with suspenders. He's got a DeNobili cigar, which is called Guinea Ropes, which he never lit. And he's watering the plants. And I say, Pop, how are you? He goes like this. Great.
So that's $50 extra spend.
So that's my family.
You know, my grandpa, you describing your dad in those suspenders and that unlit cigar. My grandfather, one of the biggest, idols in my life. My mom's dad. They called him Porky.
Sorry.
They called him Porky, and they called me Little Hog.
Yeah.
So, but my grandfather, he was one of those guys. He could take a whole car engine apart, put it on a table,
nice,
not make one note, walk back 3 weeks later, put it together, put it back in, and fire it the first time.
Nice.
But he always wore suspenders, and an unlit cigar.
Yeah, it's a big thing.
And funny enough, so he was a phosphate miner.
Yeah.
So he was on a drag line one day doing maintenance on it. Fell off.
Oh no.
Flat backed about 90 feet off a drag line.
Oh my God.
Broke his back.
Yeah.
Doctor said, Porky, the only thing that saved your life was that unlit cigar. Because he had it right here, so his top jaw couldn't snap over it.
Wow.
And that's the only thing that kept him from snapping his neck and killing himself.
Unbelievable.
I didn't even hijack your story, but when you're talking about suspenders and unlit cigars, that just brought me back to one from my childhood.
Oh yeah, it was the great memories.
And just like him, man, I remember one story about him that'll always stick with me. And it's a pretty old boy story. Is I would always go down there and just see. He had a big shop, and a big welder. Yeah, that was his deal, and he was master welder, amazing. I mean, that guy could lay beads. Yeah. So I remember sitting there so many hours. At about 13, I finally got the gumption. I said, Papa, you got to teach me how to weld. Nice. And he said, I'll tell you what, son. He said, you go to college and you get a degree. And the day you got that degree, I'll teach you how to weld. Perfect. He said, because if I teach you how to weld, he goes, I just think there's something in you, Chad, that like. You saw that. If I teach you how to weld, you're going to get super addicted to it. Yeah. You're going to perfect it. Right. You're going to find out of high school, you can make $20 an hour. As an apprentice, you'll probably be a master welder by 30, 35, and there's nothing wrong with that. Right. He's like, not at all. It's how I've made a living. I've done well for our family. He's like, but man, I just think if I teach you that, you're not going to see the rest of life. Yeah. Smart. And so I said, all right, still didn't matter. I still would sit down there in the shop with him. That's awesome. Watch him lay beat. Because sometimes there's just times where you just love watching great craftsmanship. No doubt. You know what I mean? Absolutely. And it was like, every time I went and watched him weld, it was almost like watching a pitcher throw a no-hitter. Sure. Like, and just the way that he respected the craft, what he did, the pride he took in his work. While he never taught me how to weld, spoiler alert, I graduated and he died like 2 weeks later. Yeah, sorry. But my uncles both offered, like, oh man, we'll teach you. We learned, and they're both master welders. And I'm like, it was just, I appreciate you guys offering, but nah, if I ever need something welded, I'll let y'all teach me how to do it. But it was what foresight of him, for sure, to kind of see that. And then I think all these amazing things I've got to do and this and that, and I'm still a tradesman. I mean, I'm an old boy, man. I cook barbecue. That's what I do. I love it. It's just a little different than him, but I try to apply that same work ethic and that same pride in what you put out and what I do. Of course. It's a big deal. Those great stories. I'm loving trading family stories with you, brother. And don't they, it's amazing how they not only mold your life, but they mold lives of the people you intersect with. Well, I always feel like when you come from a loving family and a family that has that. Oh, yeah. It just makes you a more loving person. You whether it be the front desk clerk at a hotel, 100%, or the maid taking care of your room, or some a server. That's right. Yeah, you treat them like family. You know what I mean? My father always told me, whenever you see somebody with a name badge, know one thing: their name. They don't know their name, but also know they don't want to be wearing a name badge. Yeah. So treat them with respect always. Yep. Never ever look down your nose at them. And usually give them a little extra. Yeah. Whether it's extra attention, if you can afford a little extra in the tip. But it's something that I learned at a very, very young age. Yeah. And to me, that was one of the things, like, coming out of COVID, to me, during COVID, I felt so bad for like all the restaurants and this and that. Sure. And there's one or two little old country eateries, you know. And I was pretty blessed during COVID because everybody was staying home and they were buying my barbecue rubs and that, this and that. And so, when you could go out and eat, I would just try to, and it's not one of those, like, you want to be known for, but like, I'd pay my bill and then leave a hundo under it or just something to give back. Cause man, these people have been out of work, and they're trying to raise a family and this and that, but just, always, it's one of those and you don't have to be well-to-do or this or that, but feel free. Like when you get a chance to share that with somebody, share it, Pay it forward. Yeah. But because those are, we talk about money all the time.
Mm-hmm.
They don't bury you with a dime of that shit.
No.
But they bury you with every experience, every memory.
That's right.
Every person's life you've impacted.
No doubt.
That stays right here on this earth.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
And that's
legacy, right?
That's what means something to me.
Yeah, me too. It's a big deal.
Yeah.
And that's, another byproduct of being with Jason and Justin and the team is that I get to create another layer of legacy.
Yes.
And now find out how I can join this amazing family and grow it.
And let's talk a little bit about that because you've worked with some pretty amazing brands.
Yeah, I've been blessed.
And there's nothing, I've only really got to do it with one brand, and that's Traeger. And that's take something from, this is kind of cool, to where it becomes a verb.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
And that's been a very just tons of learning.
Oh, yeah.
But what an amazing experience, to truly grow a brand from. When I joined Traeger, we were about 90 million, and last year we reported 600 plus.
Sure,
it's been a fun ride, but you've had a couple of those rides.
Yeah,
So let's talk about it. Because one thing I want this podcast to be is we're just ordinary guys, man. Grew up in ordinary households. You know what I mean? Yeah. And just found a passion, found a niche, and went out and did it.
Yeah, and with an attitude that says you got to get after it every day.
Stay humble, stay hungry.
And if you're gonna show up. You got to show up.
Yes, sir.
Right. You got to do that every day.
Put your name on it.
Regardless of what you're doing, that's the key. But it's my intention was not to be in the apparel business. I went to school to be in psychology and special ed. So I graduated with my special ed degree and taught learning disabled children in Harlem on 118th Street and First Avenue with Linda Most, Gary Vituli, and Carmela Provenzano.
Charlie, can you be a better person?
No.
That's pretty awesome, man.
Well, I was, again, my blessings are many.
Sure.
So to be blessed with these three revolutionary educators who said, you know what, screw you. These kids aren't going to be thrown to the street because Eric Hemphill saw his mother kill his father with a butcher knife and he's traumatized. Well, there was educators from Germany called Fernald and Fernald who had the approach to learning, visual, auditory, kinesthetic, and tactile, that if you put all of those four disciplines into learning rather than a book and a chalkboard, you have a chance to impact anybody. So the four of us, go into Harlem. Don't say another word. Mm-hmm. Go into Harlem with these kids, these 8 kids that they had thrown away. They put him in a room. They gave him busy work to do. And the doubters were many. And nothing inspires me more than doubters. Because if I feel it and believe it in my heart, and I feel it in my gut, and I can surround myself with really good people who are well-intentioned and authentic, there's nothing we can't do.
Damn straight.
So we turned them around in a year. We put the curriculum in place. And then I got laid off in the budget crisis of 1976 in New York City. So now I'm out of a job. But working part-time, whereas my father was a chiropractor and couldn't sustain his income, he had to sell real estate and insurance. And one of his insurance customers was Pat Silvestri at Nat's Men's Shop at 81 Richmond Avenue on Staten Island.
Okay.
And he said, look, here's what my son has told me. He wants to be the place kicker for the New York Giants, and he wants to marry Karen Wedlake. I hope he doesn't marry Karen because she dislikes my wife's lasagna, and I know he's never going to be a kicker for the Giants. Do you have a job for him? And Pat says, the only thing I have, Johnny, is for your son to come here on Saturday from 3 to 6 and take this green dust, which I'm sure was and is carcinogenic, put it on a linoleum and sweep it so I don't have to pay for it to be waxed every week. This will stretch it out for a month so my floor looks clean. And I had to get on the R14 bus at Sycamore Street and Richmond Avenue and take a 22-minute ride each way for $5. And I would say to my father, I said, Pop, what are we doing? I get $10 at Nana's for helping to make pasta on Sunday after Mass. He said, it's not about the money. It's about the discipline to go there and understand that this is how you have to get started. And that's what I did. So after I got laid off from the budget crisis, I go back, work in the store. We okay for time?
Yeah, we're great.
You're right. So
Charlie, don't you worry about time. You
well,
keep talking.
Okay.
Okay.
So I won't bang so hard.
But dude,
Don't be
Charlie, don't
be a buzzkill, man. Don't let New York come out, Harrison. I'm only kidding.
By the way,
But not
favorite
really.
podcast so far. No bullshit.
So I went back to the store after being laid off, and then I got to stock shelves. Then I got to wait on customers. Then I got to do inventory. Then I got to meet the salespeople, much like we're doing here with a new employee of Trollco, Jessica. She's going to start to meet people that have. She's going to start to meet people that we know, but it's very reminiscent of when I started to get to meet people who were in the industry.
Yes.
Meet the Levi rep, meet the Carhartt rep, meet the whatever sales rep was coming in the store. And that's how it started. And then I became a Knick fan. And I had this Haynes distributor out of Clifton, New Jersey, Al Ricebaum, who was our customer, was our supplier.
Uh-huh.
And he would bring in pastrami sandwiches from Cat's Deli in New York City. Now we would sit and talk, and he'd say, so you like the Knicks? I love the Knicks. Come on, we're going to go. So it's Willis Reed, Dave DeBusschere, all of the guys, right? So we go a couple of games, and Al says, look, I got a 5,000 square foot warehouse that I'm selling jeans and dungarees out of with sweatshirts. But I got this Haynes business that does about $33 million as a family business, and I need somebody to help me grow it. Now, these are one of those decisions.
So age at the time.
I started there April 16th of 1983. Yeah.
You remember your start dates?
Oh yeah. Yeah. So I'm a little OCD.
That's okay.
So if you look at all of the settings on my alarm, but I want you to invite me back, right? I don't want you to think I'm some kind of
No.
Okay. So here's what you're dealing with, Chad. If I can get my code right. Okay. So here it is, brother. So when I set my alarm, Chad, the hours and the minutes have to match.
Oh, they do. All right, we got to show that to the camera.
So 3:03, 3:33, 3:53, which is my usual time to wake up every day. 4:04, 4:14, 4:24, all the way down to 6:46. It's just an OCD thing.
Yeah, that's fine.
So it's one of those things that I think of as discipline because I've been writing down every workout that I've ever done since 1978. I know today I have 30 and a half workouts in for the year already. So those are the things that become part
of. And Charlie, do you mind sharing your age?
I'm 70. Turned 70 October 9th.
Well, Charlie, I'm 46, and I've got exactly 0 workouts registered this year. Oh, boy. Sorry, Harrison, we hit the table.
Sorry, Harrison.
That was a table slapper, old boy.
So I go to work for Al. The difficult thing is the Silvestri family were my family because Pat's son was the best man at my wedding, and I'm godfather to his first daughter, Sarah. And now I got to tell them I'm leaving. Tough one.
Yeah.
But I knew it was better for Renee, my wife, and Carly was going to be born in October. So I left.
What's Carly's birthday, by the way?
October 8th, 1983.
I had to ask.
Yeah.
Because it was October.
Yeah.
October 8th, 1976.
No way.
Yes, sir.
No.
Charlie.
No
we
way.
just got closer right here, old boy.
No. So
that just happened.
So now I got to do more.
Oh, do I got it?
No.
All right.
So at the age of 70,
okay,
I've been wanting to do this since they're born. Like a handprint on my heart. And their birthdays.
I love it.
10/8/83 and 12/7/87.
That 12/7. That's awesome.
Yeah. And then my slogan:
blessed to never give up.
Yeah.
Dude, that's so awesome, Charlie.
So I go to work for Al, selling Haynes underwear. Mm-hmm. If this gets like a little, you can give me a big TO.
Dude, no, let's keep rolling.
But it's all part of the fabric that I want you to get to know about me, okay? Because it's all.
Charlie, when I'm having a conversation, I don't give a shit about time.
All right.
We can cut this thing into 1 podcast, 2 podcasts, 2.5, whatever we need to do.
Okay. So I go to work for Al and help develop his business. And we really start to grow it and take leaps and bounds. But and along the way, he taught me to play craps.
Oh God, good man.
So
we're going to talk a little craps throwing. I like this.
I'm going to give you a crap story right now.
I love it.
So we're at the Claridge Casino, Atlantic City.
Okay.
And I got the dice.
And AC back in the day was hot, right?
Hot as can be.
Yes.
Hot as can be.
Yes.
Minks, mink coats, Lamborghinis, big jewelry. They're all there.
Mm-hmm.
So I got the dice. And I established the point as 6. And for your podcast,
6 strong point, guys.
Right. Listen.
We want 6 or 8.
That's exactly right. So
where's that closest casino at? They got craps table.
So Chad, the point is 6. I'm at one end of the table, and Al is at the other end, and he's a comped player all over Vegas and Atlantic City.
Legit.
So now I'm on my 14th pass for 6. And the numbers are the dollars are piling up all around.
Oh boy, starting to get a whole bunch of purple chips.
That's exactly right.
Yep.
So
purple chips 500s for y'all don't know.
So Al says, and now the table, there's 3 deep.
Mm-hmm.
The cigars are going, the whiskey's going. The ladies of the evening are hovering around because the big rollers are there.
Because somebody's going to be able to pay for it.
Somebody's going to win a lot of money, and they're all there. So Al says, okay, 14 passes, make a 6. The worst thing you can do when you're on a roll is to throw the dice off the table.
Yep.
So in my nervousness, the dice fly off the table. I say, same dice. They pick up the dice, they bring them back to me. But now half the table takes their bet off for that roll.
Except Al.
Oh, few people plus. But Al's not going anywhere. Get the dice back. I throw them off the table again. Now everybody's off, except for my good friend Jeff Barr, myself, and Al Ricebaum. And Al said, okay, Chaluch, they have no trust. So here's what I want you to do. You're going to make the fucking 6, and you're going to make it 5-1 only. 5-1 only, make the 6. Throw the dice. 5-1, $37,500 to Al, $1,280 to me. He said, color me up over at the cashier. We walked over to the bar. He got the Johnny Walker Blue from the top shelf. He got 3 shot glasses and the most arrogant Macanudo cigars he could find. Big honkers. Like the
50 gauges, baby. Let's go.
The big honkers. And we walked across the casino floor, arm in arm, 3 shot glasses and 3 honkers. And when we walked by, Al said, fuck you. You can't make it up. You can't make it up.
All right, your crap story led me to a crap story that I got.
Yeah, tell me.
Back before I became a barbecue guy, I was a software consultant. Did a couple startups, a couple turnarounds. But during one of those, my first startup, myself, a guy named Jared Hatcher, which founded Whiskey Bent with me, one of my best friends, and a guy named Tom Abraham. He was one of our top guys at the startup.
Right.
Engineer from Texas A&M, sharp as a tack. But Tom is like that typical engineer. Like,
yeah.
Everything is thought about 3 times. All the odds are calculated. Right. Da, da, da. So playing craps with Tom is all about numbers and this and that. And I'm like, dude, I play the pass. I back the pass. I play the 6, the 8. I'll go the hard ways if I'm feeling hot. Da da da. Well, this night I'll never forget. It's back before I was wearing the crazy shorts. We were doing a project for ExxonMobil.
Yeah.
Down in one of the ports there, not too far from New Orleans. And so we just made a deal with our company. Like, look, it's probably cheaper just to keep us here for the weekend than to fly back and forth and all that. And so we do that like every other weekend because, who doesn't want to? So we go to the Harrah's in New Orleans, wearing khaki shorts, this yellow shirt, like yellow button-down short sleeve. And for some reason, I decided to go all Willie Nelson that night and went with the red bandana.
Yeah.
So I knew we were going to play craps. And, when I play craps, I, sweat.
Yeah.
I'm in there dude, I just threw 8 innings.
Right.
If I get on a roll. So this guy, Travis, down at the other end of the table, he hits about a 13 roller.
Yeah.
So comes back around the other half of the table, and I get hot.
Yeah.
So I start hitting I broke his. I think I hit 13. And then all of a sudden, they just start chanting Big Yellow. Big Yellow, Big Yellow, Big. And I rolled 18 and bailed.
Okay.
And once again, we walked out with a pile of money. I was there for another 3 days.
Yeah.
I could not walk in here I was not wearing the same shirt. Like, big yellow, man. Dude, you made me money last night, bro. And the funny part is, like, here is in New Orleans, it's not like AC or Vegas.
Right.
Like, you got to, like, they're bringing you drinks while you're playing, but, like, we got done playing, like, we cashed out, probably, like, $8-9 grand each. Good night.
Yeah. And
so we go over to the bar. We couldn't buy a drink.
Oh, no.
Because guys are like, dude, you made me this, you made me that. So I was like,
but
damn.
Awesome.
Yeah, but craps is so much, especially when you get a hot table.
Oh, yeah.
And everybody's having a good time. It's like the coolest community ever.
Oh, yeah, for sure. It becomes the Swedish tribe in the casino.
Yes.
Because when you're rolling together, man, you're all there.
And dude, all the guys at the blackjack table going, shit, I knew I should have went over there. You know what I mean? Like, damn it, I missed out.
They're having so much fun.
Yeah.
And I'm crying in my beer.
Yeah, exactly.
No.
Or else I'm just going,
right.
Hold.
It's a little more action.
Yeah, exactly.
A little more action for sure.
All right, so you go make this man a whole bunch of money at the craps table.
Yeah, and I stayed with Al. He made a fateful decision, which I cautioned him against. In 1994, we got the Hanes contract to do all of the Olympic clothing when it was in Atlanta. So he went all in on Hanes and bought a warehouse in Canton, Georgia, and started another company called America's Tees. When I tried to caution him against all the bootleggers who are going to be in downtown Atlanta selling it 3 for $10, and we're going to be selling it in 1995. And we had this Hanes underwear business, Chad, which was an annuity. Socks and underwear. You can't go wrong.
Yep.
Stick with the core. Stay with the core. Don't get fancy.
And don't take capital away from that cash cow.
That's exactly right.
That, you know what I mean?
Exactly
don't take a risk. Don't put this annuity at risk.
That's exactly
right. Don't cash strap it.
But what he did, he sucked the equity out of the core to fund the home run. Again, a gambler by heart. This was his shot, and it went to hell. So I'm just going to roll the clock back a little bit further. February 21st of 1970, my father picks me up at Nat's Men's Shop in a British Racing Green, 1967, MG Midget, that he bought me for graduation before I graduated to make sure that I passed my finals. And it would be my car when I graduated, but he got it for me early.
Dad was a gambler. He was betting on the come.
My father was betting on the come. And that was the day Bud Alexander, the Carhartt salesman, would come into our store. He would send a postcard a week before he would come, looking forward to taking your inventory. Thank you, Bud Alexander.
Wait. He would send
a postcard
to
every one of his customers. He had all of New York, all of New York City, and all of New York State.
You talk about a touch.
Huge. And I never forgot it. But then he would roll up in his Buick LeSabre with a great gray suit on, a silver cross pen, and a pinky ring.
And so that tight suit.
Like it.
Tailored suit, looking good.
Yeah. He didn't buy it off the rack.
Yeah.
So now we go upstairs, we're counting Carhartt clothing. And 2 years in a row, it's like, this guy gets an order every time he's coming to the store. So my father picks me up. He says, how was your day? Pop, you can't believe this Carhartt guy. He's got great clothes. He's got a pinky ring, a silver cross pen, and a big Buick. Someday I got to work for Carhartt. February 21st of 1970. So now it's August of 1980. I'm sorry. It's August of 1993. I'm in Phoenix, Arizona at the Big and Tall Show.
I appreciate you supporting that, by the way.
Okay, you got it.
Thank you.
So I'm in a little booth here with my Hanes underwear and my Toltec sweatshirts. And the Carhartt booth is over here where my friend Ted and
Boom Boom, by the way.
Yeah, Boom Boom's over here. And this guy comes into my booth as I'm waiting on Don Sloan from Miller's Surplus from Tucson, Arizona. And he's standing in my booth. And he's staring at me. And sometimes when guys stare at you and it's a little uncomfortable.
You're wondering, like, am I hard right now?
Yeah. I'm right, exactly. Or am I going to stand up and punch him right in the face?
Okay, that too. Yeah.
So I said to Don Sloan, I said, excuse me one second. Can I help you with something? He said, well, I want to tell you something. So I said, no. That's your first mistake. Because if I'm your son, that makes you my father, and that could never happen. I'm trying to raise money for my family, and you're disrupting that process. What can I help you with? He says, well, I'm sorry I interrupted you. My name is Wayne Sprinkle. I'm the director of sales for Carhartt. And if you're this passionate about socks and underwear, I'd like to buy you a cup of coffee. So February 21st, 1970. Now it's many years later in August. And now all of its manifestation is coming to life. So I have Coffee with Wayne Sprinkle. We negotiated for a couple of years, but the territory wasn't right. And then February 24th of 1997, I started as the rep in New York City, Long Island, and New Jersey for Carhartt. And that's how it started.
Wow.
That's how it started. And when I started with Carhartt, we were doing about 135 million. When I left in 2018, we just had crested $1 billion. So like you said before, Chad, along the way of building a brand, you get to learn about what really works, but you also get to learn about what really doesn't work. So that was my journey with Carhartt. Lots of amazing opportunities, but I had to move my family in August 8th of 2001. I moved Renee and my amazing daughters, Carly and Courtney, to New York City. But it's now May. It's May because I moved there in April. I'm living alone. I got a nice 2-bedroom condo. Renee and the girls would come every 2 weeks. And I call my mother on this May morning, and I don't remember the date. I said, Mom, how are you? She says, honey, it's going to be a blessed day. How are you? I said, Mom, I don't know. Something's wrong. The people are too nice here. What do you mean too nice? Mom, I'm looking at the corner of my office. I got a crock pot with beef stew with a note from Karen Pauling that says, if you plug it in at 10, it will be ready at 5. You'll carry it to your condo. And then after you do that, we've also made you a pound cake that you can have for dessert. We're so happy you're here. And she says, babe, like your dad, you're Sicilian and stubborn.
Just embrace it.
But they'll embrace it and it'll be a sign. 9/11 happens. My mother lives on the 10th floor of a condo building on the water on Staten Island overlooking the New York City skyline. My owner of Carhartt knows this, Mark Villade, my friend, and comes into my office, says, how's your mom? I says, she's doing okay. So Mark said, we need to do something for the people. And I don't talk about this very often because it's very emotional for me. And they don't like to draw a lot of publicity to it, but it's now after the fact and I'm no longer there. He said, we got to do something for the people at Ground Zero. Figure it out. So I called Mitchell Modell from Modell Sporting Goods in New York City. I said, Mitch, it's Charlie. I said, how's Karen? How's the children? Mitch, everything is good, Charlie. What can I do to help you? I said, we want to do something for the people at Ground Zero, find out what they need. So Bernard Kerrig, the former police commissioner, calls me back after midnight. So now it's Wednesday, September 12th. They need socks, gloves, and bib overalls. So I go in the next day. I tell Mark and my friend Steve, God rest his soul. I said, Mark, they need socks, gloves, and underwear. Okay, figure out the inventory that we have. Figure out what you have in bulk orders. Let's figure out what we need for the balance of the year, and then take about 25% of that, and let's get it to Ground Zero. So we got America's Freight Rate to donate their drivers and their tractor trailers. Long story short, Mitch Modell, who doesn't give a snowball to an Eskimo, but he donated his warehouse in the Bronx, Chad, because he was concerned that if we shipped it right to Ground Zero, it would be pirated.
Yeah.
It would never get to the people, right?
Yep.
So we shipped them to the Bronx, and by noon on Sunday, 14,000 pair of bibs, 12,000 pair of gloves, and 10,000 pair of socks were given by Carhartt to Ground Zero, to all those heroes.
And Charlie, that is true charity.
Yeah, it is.
That is true charity.
True. And so that was a sign my mother talked about. What was the other sign? Mark said, no comment. So CNN, Fox, Parade, the Post, the Times, the Daily News were all calling. Who's this guy, Charlie? Who's this guy, Steve Carter? We got to talk to them. No comment. Never, I'm getting chills telling you. We never made a comment about it. So I knew then that I was in this place of grace, right? Like I feel like I am now. So now the sign is that I'm going all in, right? I'm all in with this group.
There's a brand that believes in what I believe in. We're taking care of people.
You got it. And that's the way it was for a very long time. And then in 2011, I got a call from Tasha Benson from Timberland and said, look, we like to talk to, we need you to come and work.
Another hot brand.
Like you to come and work for Timberland. So I speak with Jim O'Connor that night. He was a vice president, right? He was a vice president, and we couldn't get together. And they went through a buyout. VF purchased Timberland for $2.2 billion, and now it's 2014. And they say, we went through the buyout. We now see our way clear. Humbly, we think we can afford you now. Here's the deal. I sign up. They buy my house. They get me they get a membership to the country club in Portsmouth, New Hampshire. They got me a tennis pro because they know I love to play tennis. They introduced Renee to all of the restaurants, salons, churches. It's all
Brought you into the family.
I'm going to start there. I'm going to start there, Chad, in May of 2014. I confide in my friend Steve, who's my partner in sales. I'm going to VF. He's better you than me because you have the personality for it. I don't. And that conversation happened in February. We go to the High Grade Deli for lunch on a Tuesday on Michigan Avenue. He has his pastrami. I have my pastrami and corned beef combination, Russian dressing and coleslaw. He goes to the doctor the next day. He gets diagnosed with stage 4 glioblastoma, has 6 months to live. Now, I just have a contract, and it's going to sound self-serving, but I think as we're getting to know one another, you know that's not who I am. Mm-hmm. I got the contract for VF to start in May. My dear friend is going to die.
Got to spend those 6 months with him.
I'm not going anywhere.
Hell no.
So I call Eric Weissman in Greensboro, North Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
I get his secretary, and I say, I got to talk to Eric. Charlie, what's up? I said, I signed a contract. I know you bought my house. I know you're going to get me a house in Portsmouth. You've given me a dream job of a lifetime, but I can't take it. How come? I said, my dear friend's going to die in about 6 months. So I'm sorry, but you got to let me out of the contract.
I got to spend that time with him.
And I don't want any legal snafus. Don't worry. We're going to avoid it. And that's what he said. If I'm not here, when your friend passes, we're going to call you and we want you to work for us. Because you're the kind of people we want here. You're loyal to your friend.
Yes.
You're turning down a dream job for your friend. No worries. So Steve got diagnosed in March of 14. He passes away June 7th of 2016. Yeah.
Wow.
Uh-huh. So
I'm so happy you got that extra time with him.
Yeah, it was huge.
That's
huge.
Awesome.
And he lives, a block and a half away. Renee and his wife, Kathy, are
probably as close as y'all were.
Yeah, very close, And he was a big smoker of meats and things. Which I'm so happy to be with you to experience you, but also your amazing food. I then get a call. Steve passes June of 16. It's now March of 17. Timberland calls. Tasha Benson, who called me in 2011.
Yep.
He said, we know Steve passed. Let's get this done. So I flew there on May 15th of 2017, which was my 40th wedding anniversary. I had a flight in the morning and a flight home. So I'm
still going to spend that evening with Mama.
Right.
Yep.
I thought. So I meet with the team, and the last person I meet with is Jim Pisani, president of Timberland. He said, we got to get this done. HR's a little behind with the paperwork. We're going to take you to dinner. We're going to get your room tonight. You fly home in the morning. Goes, no. Wow. It's my wedding anniversary. We're going to dinner. We're going to Vince's Italian restaurant in downtown Detroit. You can't do this to me.
Yeah.
I said, well, could you call your wife and see? We'll give you money for dinner the next day. So, not that I took Jimmy's money. But I called Renee and said, look, babe, they're going to get this done today. And then I left card April 9th of 2018, and I started at Timberland the following week. And I was there I started in April of 18, and we did a lot of great things. And my role there was to bring apparel to life in the workwear space. They had a great $250, $300 million footwear business.
Yep.
But they were struggling at like $5 million in apparel, which was a joke. All they had to do was
when you have that existing customer base,
right? Yeah. Exactly, Chad. Right. So we tried,
and a lot of times, not to cut you off, Charlie.
No,
a lot of times, brands make that shit too complicated. Like you've got a $250 million footwear business. Easiest thing to do is go out and poll your customers on what do you want in apparel.
Exactly.
Listen to your customers.
Exactly.
You already have people that love the brand.
That's right.
If you're wanting to extend and grow it, just listen to them.
100%. Yeah, very true. So there was a full embrace for my process and my intensity when Jim Pisani was there. Pisani leaves January of 19.
Yeah, that's when it's always hard.
And then all of a sudden, all of the muscle became jello. And now Siracusa is out there on a limb with his intensity and no bullshit approach to business and with accountability as the driving beacon. And you want to go hide behind a fucking rock? No, it's not going to happen because you're fat and happy, because you're selling footwear. Now you're going to sell apparel and you don't think you can. No. And I made a mistake. I got in front of 800 people in my first meeting at Timberland. I said, here's what I want you to remember. Every day when you wake up, you got to fight me because I'm your competition. Carhartt is out there. 60 guys are going to be fighting against you. You better get ready. And I shouldn't have said it there because I was a little arrogant, but I was a little full of myself because I knew I had landed there for a reason, Chad.
But were you also, maybe it wasn't arrogance, Charlie. Maybe you were trying to drive change.
Yeah, I was.
You know what I mean? Like,
I was.
Y'all need to wake up.
Yep.
And sometimes people just got to be slapped in the face with it like that.
100%.
I know for me, last couple of months, I struggled to do some things. And sometimes you got to get slapped in the face a little bit. You got to get back. You got to get back right.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
100%.
And I think that may have been what you were trying to do. And some people, it may have came off as arrogant, but you had been there.
Oh, yeah.
You had built the blueprint. You knew it could be done.
100%.
And they had enough brand traction that it's doable.
100%.
And you were just trying to motivate people like, you
let's go.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, it was when people, when you meet somebody and they hug you and it's that bullshit hug.
No, we come in for the real thing right here, boy. Come in for the real thing.
You come in real.
I may break a rib.
I want to feel it so close, I can feel your heartbeat. That's a hug.
Yes, sir.
Not a bullshit hug. Like you're tickling me on the back. Don't hug me.
Yeah.
Don't fucking hug me. You don't want to hug me. It's just obligatory. Don't fucking hug me.
Anytime you give me like a double pat on the
you gonna pat me?
Yeah.
What am I, your fucking puppy? Take a walk, man. So at the end of the day, that was it was okay. We were building it. I made some beautiful friends. And then unfortunately, on February 9th of 2020, our colleague was murdered at our headquarters.
What?
Yeah. It was Cassie Hefner. I wasn't as close to her as others, but we shared a great intensity because when we did the interview, she ordered the wrong thing for lunch and I ordered the wrong thing for lunch. And we laughed about it all the time. She ordered some kind of salad with like cranberries and nuts, and it was flying all over the place we were eating. And I ordered a tuna wrap. Like, what the fuck was I thinking? So we laughed about it forever. And then she went into the office to get some samples for a meeting we had in Denver that following Tuesday, and was murdered by our security guard, stabbed to death, dragged into the closet near her office. And then the young security guard, I may not have the story exactly right, Chad, but called 911, called his mother to call 911 that he had done something really terrible at the office. And I was in New York with my youngest daughter and now son-in-law Courtney and now son-in-law Lewis. I had picked up a car that I always wanted to buy at the Porsche dealership in Manhattan. I was going to drive it back to New York. And I started getting texts from Julie Gagne, Charlie, something's going on at headquarters, because we were all on a text chain, Chad, that let us know something was going on at headquarters. And we found out that following morning that we had lost Cassie and she had been murdered. So for so many, it was non-recoverable.
Oh my gosh,
when it's that kind of tragedy. And I had never experienced, and even though I was somewhat distanced from Cassie, I felt the impact of this beautiful family that I met. Oh. And I never knew what post-traumatic stress was until I started to talking to the FBI grief counselors. And they not only helped me, but they called Renee. They said, how's Charlie? Well, he's not sleeping. Mm-hmm. He cries at the tip of a hat. Until I got a little bit of help, I knew I couldn't recover. But I knew ultimately that I was going south at Timberland, but also, Chad, I knew I couldn't go back to the office. I knew that I couldn't do it. And then November 3rd at 2:28 p.m., I get a text in 2020 from a young man I had been mentoring from Baruch College since 1999, Stephen Locke, who's now the COO of Tier Sport. And they had tried to hire me in 2016, and they knew that I embraced the sport with swimming and triathlons and other things. And he said, look, you got all that we need to bring our product to be relevant out of the pool as they are in the pool. I want you to bring us into apparel. I want you to bring us into footwear. I want you to bring us into eyewear. I want you to bring us into all these things. And I started with them January 1st of 2021. And then I lasted there for 11 months. It went south pretty quick because greed took over common sense.
Yep.
Then I left, and then I was blessed to meet Jason and Justin, and that's how I got here.
Dude, that's so awesome. And man, the stories are unreal. But,
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit before we wrap this up.
Sure.
You're here.
Yeah.
Super exciting brand.
Unbelievable.
So much
Yeah.
upward mobility.
Yeah. Unlimited.
So as a chief growth officer, you ain't got to lay out the whole playbook because, got to keep some of it close to the chest.
Sure.
What's some of the things that you find special about this brand, and what's some of the ways that you feel like those special qualities can go out in the marketplace?
Yeah, great question. So it's all about the authenticity.
Absolutely.
But and as important as that, maybe not more than that, but as important as that is the belief that Jason and Justin have in the process. Because that's what it is. It's all about the process. It's a 9-box matrix for me. Create, transform, and lead. Show up, follow up, execute, and focus, patience, and discipline. It's a 9-box matrix.
Let's slow that down.
Sure.
And walk through it one more time for the listeners. 9-box matrix.
Yep. Create, transform, and lead. Create the marketplace that you want to. Transform the current relationships you have into partnerships and lead them to profitable growth while you lead your company to profitable growth.
Okay, so I want to stop you there because something that you said that means a lot to me, and it's something that I've always tried to do in my professional career. Partnerships.
Big time.
That's the deal. Let's make sure both of us have a vested interest.
That's right.
We're on the same page.
Yeah.
And we're moving forward at the same speed as everybody else.
100%.
You know what I mean?
100%.
I think that is very, very key.
Yeah, and that's what I explained to Jason and Justin. Create, transform, and lead. And then in order to, when you do that, focus, patience, and discipline needs to be part of your DNA, right? And I knew it was with J&J. And then underneath that is show up, follow up, and execute. If you're going to show up, then you got to follow up. And when you follow up, you got to execute.
And to me, I've always been one of those guys, if you're a retailer, all your other brands and friends, all your other brands are friends.
Yep.
I want to earn the term of family.
Me too.
You know what I mean? I want to come into, whether it's your one spot or a group of retailers, whatever.
100%.
I want you to consider me family.
Absolutely.
And I want to earn that.
Yep.
Yeah.
So thank you. And thank you for doing this, Chad.
Oh, Charlie, thank you for taking the time. This has been awesome. All right. The next 3. So we had the first 3 in the matrix. Create,
transform, and lead.
Yes, sir.
Focus, patience, and discipline.
All right. Walk me through those.
Well, you got to have a point of focus.
Absolutely.
Anything done right. And you have to be really.
And that's sometimes with a growth brand is one of the hardest parts.
It is.
Because there's so many areas where you could grow.
It is.
But you got to put your resources in that one area where you can see the growth.
And it's so perfect you said that, because that was one of the, not that I needed to prove anything to J&J, but I felt like I did with the blessing they've given me.
Sure.
So I just wanted to start with what was in front of us, right? Which was, we have this little brand at retail. Let's just investigate that first. Let me show you that if you do these very basic things, the revenue is going to grow. And fortunately, it did. We just took some baby steps, built the belief. So we had the focus. Jason and Justin had the patience. But we all had the discipline to understand it's not going to happen overnight. But what you have to be is, I'm not going to bang on the table, but it's a steady beat of the drum.
Yeah.
As my friend Mike Pardini says, professional persistence, steady beat of the drum.
Well, and the other thing is, don't let the bright, shiny objects distract you.
No, can't.
You got to have that. You got to have those guardrails around it so you're not. Yeah.
Can't do it. So follow that and then show up. If you got something to do, I don't care whether you're at the front desk or you're at the top of the food chain, you got to show up every day. Every day's Broadway. You know what?
Yep.
Put some makeup on, put some clothes on that look like they're ready to be worn to the office. Look like you're ready to engage.
Yep.
Not like you're ready to go to sleep, right? We don't want any sleepers. We want people who are ready to engage and go.
Because if you're dressing sleepy, you're acting sleepy.
100%. I'm a big believer in polish your goddamn shoes. And don't forget the heels. Don't forget the goddamn heels. They can polish their shoes and the heels look like shit. No good, man. No good. You're half done.
You're half-assed.
And your credibility with me is now in the toilet. Exactly. So
you spend all that effort and it still looks like shit.
Talking about shoe polish, Jesus. So the special thing about the brand is that they've embraced that very traditional matrix of activity, and then bringing in people to the company who embrace that as well, matched with all of the unbelievable things they've done with their product, all the wonderful things they've done with social media, all of the things they've done with all of the things that they've done.
Mm-hmm.
How can you not miss? How can you not make it a home run?
Well, when you have a story that creates a community, and you feed that community, it's a very powerful thing for a brand.
Big time.
You know what I mean?
Big time.
And really, by doing that, you're creating the demand. And now your job as a chief growth officer is how do we get this product into more places?
That's right.
So all this demand is more easily met.
Exactly. And, and I said to Justin, I think pretty early in our dialogue was, I will create scenarios for you across the enterprise that will invite consumers and retailers into our movie, because that's what everybody wants to be.
Yes, sir.
Right? They don't want to be popcorn. They want to be on the screen.
And there's also something about when you're building a brand, keeping it exclusive.
Exactly right.
You know, like almost like the Carhartt story you were telling earlier.
Right. That's right.
You know what? You got to get your shit up. Your store's got to look better before you put this in there.
That's exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly
Finding those retail partners.
That's right.
That care about the brand just as much as you do.
That's right.
And that's not easy.
No.
Because most retailers are just looking at a SKU and margin.
100%.
You know what I mean? But if you tell a good enough story,
that's right.
People need it. People want it.
That's right. And that's why we're being very deliberate about where we go and when we go there.
Yes, sir.
Which is why we're here in Phoenix to introduce my new family to the Mid-States members. So 38 owners, 800 doors, about $8 billion in revenue, that do about 150, 160 with Carhartt, that are anxious to see what we have, because there's so much excitement building from all of the foundation that Jason and Justin have put into it.
And here's one of the things too. I mean, you look at Carhartt, Dickies, all those workwear brands, great workwear brands, for sure. Great product.
Yeah,
they have no fucking attitude.
No.
Trollco, it's got attitude.
Big time.
You know what, dude? We work with our hands.
That's right.
We have a fucking good time. We work hard. We take pride in our work.
That's right.
And every now and then when we put the tools down, we'll pop a little 5-9 whiskey, old boy. You know what I mean? But hardworking people, loyal people.
That's right.
People that you want in your tribe.
And that's right. And now that there is so much emphasis on honoring people who make the choice not to go to college, but work in the trades, it's become almost a trophy to do that. And
that's one thing I love about the Trollco brand is they promote that.
Oh, big time.
And do it in a very fun way.
That's right.
I mean, look, I'm the guy that always uses the term, cubicle bullshit, playing office, that kind of stuff, because people do.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Yep. Just get out there with your hands and make something or do something.
100%.
You know what I mean? Be able to, for me, me, Julie, we go out there, we do an event, and I can look over that table and I go, that's our work.
Yeah. And
these people are about to enjoy the shit out of it.
That's right.
That's a fulfillment that you don't get. No. In other ways.
No.
It's just like, if you're an electrician, you'll get in a wire guy's house.
That's right.
And he don't call you for 10 years.
That's right.
That's the best compliment you could get.
No doubt.
Because you did that right.
No doubt. And blue collar.
So you ain't all got to be paper jockeys or in front of a computer.
That's right.
You can do I feel like you can have a lot more impact in this life, cutting your own trail, being a tradesman, doing it your way.
That's right.
Than just following the corporate horde.
And it's personal for me because my son-in-law, Louis, when he asked me for Courtney's hand in marriage, he was a help desk director for a financial firm out of Belgium and worked on Madison Avenue. Mm-hmm. Great job. Went to St. John's, got his MBA, and proposes to Courtney. We're planning a wedding in New Jersey. And about 6 months after the engagement, he said, I got to talk to you. I said, yeah, what do you want to talk about? He said, I'm not feeling fulfilled. I thought I liked dressing up every day, buying the fancy clothes, taking a bus 2 hours each way. Was not good enough for me. My uncle works for Hallen, which does all of the repairing of infrastructure, of gas lines and pipelines. He said, I want to dig ditches. And I'm going to start crying out. It was like, that's why Courtney loves you. And he's been doing that for 5 years. So it's personal for me. So the connection to Louis going blue collar and then having to intersect with Jason and Justin with this amazing brand and be able to be a small part of where we're going and why we're going there, and building that why for so many people, and then doing the same thing with Welder Nation, taking it from its infancy to exploding it out. We just had a meeting today with a company called Tenacity, which is going to help us with our Amazon presence. And then when the time is right, which is now that 5.9 is launched, you take those same processes, agnostic of what you're selling, whether it's a spirit or it's a pair of suspenders, focus, patience, and discipline, create, transform, and lead, show up, follow up, execute, and be thoughtful and relentless with what you do and when you're doing it, regardless of what the brand is. And with the foundation that Jason and Justin have built, it's, I don't want to say it's a layup, Chad, but it's as close to a layup as I've ever had in all my years in the business.
And Charlie, at 70 years old, you seem like you're ready to pour another fucking 2, 3, 4, 5 years into this thing, man.
I am.
You are charged up like you're 28 again, buddy.
Exactly.
I love it.
Me too, my friend.
Well, Charlie, I don't think this will be the last time we have you on the podcast.
I hope not.
I've had a good time, and usually, I'd stick over and shake your hands. We got a wide enough camera lens. We got to hook this one out, old boy. That was a hell of a podcast, man. Thank you so much, brother. All right, guys. That is Charlie Siracusa, and the reason they call that old boy a legend. Thank you guys for listening, and we'll catch you next time. Take care.
Thank you.